Can you get a dagger? Okay, grab a dagger. You break it down in range. Dagger is not like kickboxing. You know, you only get one chance. And you can make a mistake. You can even be better and faster than this guy, but some days your reflex is a bit slower. Some days your reflex is a bit faster. Okay. So I'm going to take the basic line. So the bottom line is on this is that you have several methods. Okay? And because the Filipino culture is so mixed, you know, they have borrowed from many different cultures. The Filipino, there is no such thing really. If you're Filipino, there is no such thing as a Filipino. There really isn't.
I told you, you're out of place.
They are made up of many different groups. In fact, if you really want to be honest, what's happening in Iraq is identical to what happened in the Philippines. Most people don't realize the longest war the United States ever had is with the Philippines, longer than Vietnam. But they didn't call it war. They call it police action. So the Korean conflict, I don't know why they call it conflict. That was a war. Conflict is what you have in your neighborhood. But that's the way that they call it. But anyway, in short, many different cultures have come into there. So many different. So as each culture came in, they kind of, the culture went like this. I will say something right now. Most people, if I say there's they're very unaware that there's a lot of Mexican culture in the Philippines. That started with already in the 1500s. That's why the people look so many different. You could look at Filipinos and they go, he's Mexican, and then he'd be Filipino. And you look at some Filipinos and say, oh, he's Chinese, and he would be Filipino. You look at another, oh, he's Japanese, but he's Filipino. Some are very dark. See, but people don't realize there were black tribes in the Philippines. Then there were tribes like the Mandayan. When the American servicemen, they go, there's a white woman out here, and they don't realize that's the way they were. Because the bottom line on that is that structurally wise, they came from. I'm just going to give you a quick history, so I'm going to go into the diagram real fast. And the reason being, see the cultures that came to the Philippines, like this is something my father taught me. The Northern European culture is brought through the United States because they're mainly Northern European culture. The Southern European culture is because they came through Spain. It's 377 years Spanish. They learned the Spanish. The Northern Asian culture is through China, and the Southern Asian culture is through India. Now, India brought three different distinct groups into the Philippines. One were the Indo-Aryans. They're Caucasian. Okay. B, they're Dravidians. Dravidians are a brown and black race. And the Tamils are a black race. Then you had Genghis Khan coming around, sort of spreading his seed. So these four groups start to merge. They come into the Philippines. The other one is through Persia. See, you could take the Persia now, that would be Iran. Okay? And they mix this with the Arabic culture. Like the Southern Philippines still writes in Arabic. They don't write, they read the alphabet is Arabic. And then you have the Mexican culture, because for 377 years, there was what they call the Manila Galleon routes. It came from Manila to Acapulco, Mexico, from Acapulco, Mexico to Monterey, California, back to Manila. This goes on for 370 years. Now, when they get to Mexico, a lot of Filipinos don't want to sail for Spain anymore. So they have to jump ship. They jump ship, and some of them work all the way into Louisiana bayous, that's why almost probably a fifth of John Lafitte men are what we call mestizo Filipino. They have a Spanish name, but it's mestizo Filipino. And then a lot of them, they were hidden by the Mexican Indians. Now they have to bring a ship back to the Philippines, right? So they have to use Aztecs and tribes that hated the Aztecs. Some of them killed each other on the first World War. They were killing each other back. So they went around like that. So then when they get to the Philippines, the Filipinos hide them because they jump ship too. This goes on 377. Some stay. And this goes on and on and on and on and on. See? So that's why the Mexican. Then you have the Japanese culture. Not in World War II, as many people think. The Japanese culture came in 1600 because all the Christian Japanese were kicked out of Japan, and the only country that accepted them were the Philippines. Then you have the Tibetan culture. They trickled down into what we call now Siam, which is now called Thailand, and they trickled down to what they call Burma, which is now called Myanmar. So they came down. So these are the 9 basic people that come into the Philippines. Not too much is written about. It's kind of an interesting point. You know, Ajahn Chai goes to Mexico every year because he has a Thai Boxing Association in Mexico. And what's really interesting about him, he came running to me. He goes, "Hey, Danny, you can't believe this. You know what I saw in Acapulco?" I mean, you can imagine it's just a lot of Filipinos. It's true. See, like this one here. This is kind of interesting. This is an Aztec Indian who fought in the Philippines. And for 25 years, the Spanish could not uproot him. That's a long time, 25 years. But it took a combined Filipino, Mexican, and Spanish armies to uproot him for 25 years. See? If you go on here, this is kind of an interesting article. See, 15 generations of Filipinos thriving in Mexico now. See, but they're not called Filipinos. They're called usually Chinos, or as the Spanish call the Filipinos, Indios. So with all these different groups there, I can go on and on and on. I didn't mean to give you a history lesson, but they have a lot of Persian. And you know, right now in Iraq, you have the Sunni Muslims, you have the Shiites, and you have the Wahhabi, and you have the Kurds. 4 groups. In the Philippines, there's more than 78 different groups. And most people don't know that in the history. But my father really drilled me on this. And the reason being was I was on the 5th grade. I came back from school. I was crying. My mother was hugging me. She goes, "Why are you crying?" She says, "Because I'm going to tell everybody I'm not Filipino because we're savage and warlike people. We kill Magellan. And I'm going to tell everybody I'm Chinese or Japanese or Mexican." I told him, because I don't want to be Filipino. Because I thought, and then my dad just started laughing. He says, "You get history lessons." Yeah. But that's how I really got into the history part. And in short, that's why this method is, there's so many, each area is quite different. And they all work. You have long range where you just cut the hand here, like that. Right? Middle range is because you can put the trap hand here. Okay? I like to try the middle range because you're going to use this hand. So we educate. So I go one diagonal. See? Thrust. Sometimes they make you just only slash. See? Like that, back. That's 1. That's 2. See? That's 3. That's 4. And that's 5. So what I'm showing you now is the illustration system, which is a very, very interesting system because it also has Balinese silat in it. See? It also has what they kind of like the sword blade is actually from the royal part of Spain. They traced this already because the Burmese do it. And it is mixed with other Indonesian arts plus different Arabic art, and that became the illustration because he was always a worldwide traveler. So a lot of things were put into it. Okay, they produced 2 great nephews. One was Flora Villabreo, and the other one was Tating Illustrissimo, who created what we call Kali Illustrissimo. But this is the format and the numbering system that I was taught by Regino. That's 1, see. 2, see. 3, 4, and 5. Now to educate the lines, then we just sort of tap it like that. So back to here, back to here. That's 1 to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See. Then you put it in Pakal, like that. That's 1, see? 2, see? 3, 4, and 5. Got that? Okay, you see that? So the first way is this, okay? We call this a puñal. But if it's single edge, we call it cuchillo or cortelo. Okay. One is Italian, one is Spanish, but the Filipinos think it belongs to them. Makes them feel happy anyway. They think it's our language, but it's really corrupted Spanish. But see, that's 1, 2, 3, and 5. Then if you feel comfortable, I want you to go like that. 1, see, 2, see, 3, 4, and then 5. Okay? You got that? That's so easy, right? We need to do this before we go on to other stuff. Okay? Got that? See how I'm feeding it? Like baseball, if you're trying to teach a child to play baseball, and you pitch the ball as hard as you can pitch it, or you take them down the batting cage and turn it to 90 miles an hour and says, well, this is the way it is in the Major League, 10 in front of the ball. They won't get it. They'll get scared. Because it has a gradual process. Same thing with this. If you go, on this, and that's the way it is in the real street. You can lose the sun, you can lose a daughter. Correct? So you have to go slow. It's like baseball. You want to throw the grounder slow, you want to, until their eye, because of eye-hand coordination. Okay, can you do that? 1, see? 2, 3, 4, and 5. Simple. Reverse grip. When you reverse grip, backhand that. See? When you go to slash, you hit overhead like that. So he'll put his hand here and here. When you come like that, you backhand like that. See? Slash up and see back. He's later on going to answer like that, so we go out like that. But I want you just to get the mechanics. Your hand will either be here or here. See? All right. And then, when you come back to that, when we at 5, see, you do the backhand like that. Not that the backhand is necessary. Can you remember that now? So when you do this one here, see 1, it goes here. When I go here, you're going to go right here. See, that's so he can tap it. See, now he'll deliver that. See, back to here. See, tap it. See, and back to here. Okay. Any questions? This is an exercise, not knife fighting yet. Okay, but you need to start this. All right, you got this? All right. So, you know, sometimes when a father trains his son, he wants him to become so good they really. I've seen this on seminars. They get so mad, so you got to go slow because you got to remember you were his kid too. You got that? I don't know if you would do it here, but I mean, but I've seen that on seminars. They go, I want you to be good. They're driving. Got to go slow so they can learn. Okay. All right, let's try it.